All the drivers had dinner yesterday and all of them are nice people. I wish them all the best for the race.
Tomorrow is a very good race and we have been training all summer. I wish good luck to all the participants and hopefully we make it a gentleman's sport.
हाँ माँ, बहुत बोरिंग शो है ये। नहीं, कुछ ड्रामा नहीं है। चैनल के पैसे मत भरो आप, फास्ट एंड फ्यूरियस देख लो ना, उससे अच्छा।
Winning is the only thing that matters. I don't know why they even let him race.
These drivers are not training at all. I mean, last night they were all partying with girls. I was driving hard.
हाँ माँ, प्रमोट हो गया हूँ मैं, ड्राइवर बन चुका हूँ अब। अरे उबर वाला ड्राइवर नहीं यार, रेस ड्राइवर। अच्छा चल, मेरा इंटरव्यू है, मैं बाद में बात करता हूँ। आखिर सुन ही ली ना इन्होंने मेरी बात, बोला था ड्रामा ऐड करने।
हीरो, परमिशन कौन दिया रे तेरे को इधर चलाने का? इधर का स्पीड लिमिट मालूम है?
In the last race, he scratched my car, but he can't win this one. I'm better than him. He knows that.
He said I crashed into his car. He crashed into my car.
जीत गया हूँ मैं, चैंपियन फॉर द चैंपियन।
अभी इस बार छोड़ रहा हूँ, अगली बार से मत करना, क्या? नहीं तो अंदर कर देगा देखो।
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैं थैंकफुल हूँ अपने मामा को जिन्होंने मुझे रिक्शा चलाना सिखाया, और मेरे चाचा को जिसने मुझे साइकिल चलाना सिखाया, और मेरी मम्मी और पापा को जिन्होंने मुझे मेरी पहली गाड़ी लेके दी, और मेरी बहन, भाई, छोटा बेटा और छोटा भाई और मोटा भाई, सभी के लिए।
When Lewis Hamilton, one of the goats of F1, first came to F1 racing in 2007, he had a 14-inch collar size. Today, that collar size is approximately 18 inches. Because if you don't train your neck, it can actually break. Because in this sport, where the bodies go from 300 kilometers per hour to a standstill in mere moments, G-forces are so high that drivers need to train their neck muscles to an insane level. In fact, Fernando Alonso has a fan favorite party trick. He can crush a walnut between the side of his head and shoulder. F1 is a very tough sport for drivers. In over a 90 plus minutes of racing, each driver sweats over 3 kg of the body weight, withstand a constant temperature of over 55 degrees Celsius, and loses an average of 40% of the brain function by the end. In fact, the drivers are so weak by the end of the race, there are actual rules set up about how heavy the trophies can be. How did a sport that has so much stake went from a fan favorite to dying sport, and now where everyone is literally only talking about F1? Broadcasts are going crazy to get a slice of F1 pie. On top of that, we have an Apple F1 movie starring Brad Pitt and a Lewis Hamilton documentary on the docket. While Disney-backed Hulu recently signed a deal for a new half-hour scripted series in partnership with McLaren racer Daniel Ricciardo. There is also a Netflix show called Drive to Survive that has made this show the talk of the nation. But the actual truth is, this rise of F1 was a fully calculated move, and behind all of this is one single company. So how did we exactly get here? Well, 6 years ago, F1 was struggling. In 2012, CVC, a company that owned a considerable amount of shares of F1, had already sold their shares to Waddell & Reed Investment Management and Ivy Investment Management for $1.6 billion, valuing F1 at $9 billion. But even after all this, just 4 years later, F1 was looking for another capital injection because they were running out of money. And this was happening because of this guy. His name is Bernie Ecclestone. He was the CEO of Formula One and pretty much controlled the entirety of the sport. Under his leadership, F1 was a colossal sport with a global viewership of 600 million in 2008. But by 2016, the number had decreased by 40%, resulting in a loss of over 200 million fans in 8 years. Although there are many factors to this, one of the big ones was Bernie Ecclestone's lack of consideration for young people. His mindset was of a proper old person. He didn't want the sport to be about the young people at all. What I'm about to show you is an actual quote of this dude. I don't know why people want to get the so-called young generation. Why do they want to do that? Is it to sell them something? Most of these kids haven't got any money. I'd rather get to the 70-year-old guy who's got plenty of cash. So there's no point trying to reach these kids because they won't buy any of the products here. And if the marketers are aiming at this audience, then maybe they should advertise with Disney. I'm not interested in tweeting, Facebook, or whatever this nonsense is. I tried to find out, but in any case, I'm too old-fashioned. I couldn't see any value in it.
ये है बुढ़ा एलेक्स पटेल। ये न्यूज़ फ़ोन पे नहीं, न्यूज़ पेपर पे पढ़ते हैं। बेटी की शादी लव नहीं, अरेंज मैरिज से करवाते हैं। और हाँ, इनके हाथ में F1 भी था। And he thought young audience is not a good market. ये अपनी ऑर्थोडॉक्स सोच से मजबूर है, पर आप नहीं। आज ही अडैप्ट करें न्यू मार्केट कंडीशंस के साथ और अपने बिजनेस को सफल बनाएं। लिबर्टी मीडिया हमेशा आपके साथ।
Now this is where things start to get interesting. Liberty Media, a massive media company, saw this and decided to acquire F1 in full for $8 billion. Their idea was simple: to make this business profitable and transform it. Liberty Media understood that to do this, they need to target the US market. This is because the US market is the most lucrative sport market worldwide, despite of having a fan base 2 to 3 times larger than the NFL. F1 generates only a fraction of NFL's revenue, which is approximately 8 times more annually. Now, to actually enter the US market, the sport was lacking branding. So in order to inject some much needed branding into the sport, Liberty Media launched a targeted plan in the United States to drum up interest. The company introduced several initiatives around marketing, including but not limited to a docu-series by the name of Drive to Survive. The initial season aired in 2019 and featured all 20 drivers across the 10 teams. The result, according to World Builders, was 40% increase in the F1 viewership in the US. 7 of the 10 most watched races ever was because of this. Basically, Liberty Media understood that to sell sport in itself, they need to create content around it. It's the exact same strategy we apply to our own business. Liberty Media knew more than just the race, the viewers love to see some drama. And that's exactly what they gave them. Now, the sport has become a soap opera come professional race show. The paparazzi around the sport's larger-than-life characters and the continued glamorization of the lifestyle surrounding them has left fans wanting more. However, their partnership with Netflix has had the most significant impact. Knowing that content is the key to growth in the US, Liberty Media collaborated with Netflix to launch F1 Drive to Survive. Despite initial reluctance from the top teams like Mercedes and Ferrari to participate, the docuseries has been a hit, especially in the US, where F1 viewership has doubled since its release. According to Nielsen, F1 is expected to surpass 1 billion fans this year, with 77% of new fans under the age of 35, which would not have been possible without Netflix.
हाँ माँ, हाँ अभी रेस के बाद तो फ्री रहता हूँ ना। अभी बीच पे आया हूँ चिल करने, मी टाइम। हाँ माँ, नहीं अभी रेस के बाद तो फ्री रहता हूँ। अब थोड़ा बीच पे आया हूँ चिल करने, प्राइवेट टाइम एंजॉय करने। सर एक फोटो। सर अबे यार तुम लोग थोड़ा तो प्राइवेसी रखो यार, मेंटल हेल्थ खराब हो जाती है बंदे की कैमरा देख देख के। अबे समुंदर पे तो कोई शांति नहीं थी, पर लिविंग रूम में शांति ही शांति है। पर्सनल स्पेस है ना। अरे घर में घुस गए तुम लोग, कब डालूंगा डोके में। हाँ माँ, ये नेटफ्लिक्स वाले पैसे तो बहुत दे रहे हैं लेकिन प्राइवेसी नहीं दे पा रहे। कहीं ना कहीं तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना ही पड़ता है ना माँ। चलो अब मैं फोटो नहाने जा रहा हूँ, थोड़ी देर में बात करता हूँ। बाय। अच्छा।
When Liberty Media completed the $8 billion deal to acquire Formula One at the start of 2017, one of the first things it did was recruit this guy called Murray Burnett. Murray Burnett acted as the sport's first head of global sponsorship and commercial partnerships. So, Murray made several changes to F1. First, they relaxed the rules on social media. So previously, F1 had rules that you as a driver are not really allowed to post the F1 live events to your own social media accounts. But Murray decided no more. This enabled the teams and the drivers to start sharing official race footage from Formula 1 on their own channels. The result, F1 became the fastest growing digital property in sports.
ये क्या है? 300 में से 290 बाकी 10 कहाँ हैं? जाओ बैठो इंस्टाग्राम पे। सारे बच्चे सोशल मीडिया की वजह से बगड़ गए हैं। और जाओ और बिठाओ अपने बच्चे को सोशल मीडिया पे। सर इस बार मेरा बेटा 300 में से 300 kmph लाया है क्योंकि इसने बेबी टीवी का कोहॉर्ट लिया और इसको मर्सिडीज से 30 LPA का पैकेज भी मिला। प्राप्त हुए।
F1 has taken a new approach by assigning account executives to manage each of its individual sponsors, a first for the sport. Additionally, these executives have access to a portal containing updated information on F1 fans, allowing for a more effective audience targeting. One sponsor, beer company Heineken, has already benefited from these changes with the brand's experiential activities such as hosting a popular pool party during the Monza Grand Prix gaining attention. The goal is to create a Grand Prix experience where attendees can enjoy 9 hours of entertainment even without watching the races. They are hosting a festival, not a race. The race is no longer the main attraction, it's the lives of the drivers and the event itself. F1 fans spend an average of 2 hours a day on social media, with the study claiming 38% of the internet users are F1 fans and 1 in 8 of its millennial fans are choosing to watch races online. Ultimately, Burnett wants F1 to get to a stage where the F1 logo triggers an emotion that means different things to different people, just like Nike's Just Do It. Under the previous ownership, F1 lacked any kind of marketing department and derived most of its revenue from TV rights and race hosting fees. When asked by Marketing Week what is the biggest change that has been made so far, the new manager that Liberty hired confidently replied, "As a brand, we have become more fan-centric and we are now doing everything through the prism of a fan or a potential fan." Recently, there was a young fan seen on television crying in the stands because his hero Kimi Raikkonen had crashed and been eliminated. We brought him down to hang out with Kimi and go into the pits. This kind of emotive viral marketing activity would never have happened before, and it made headlines globally. The economic impact of these changes is equally impressive. Since 2016, Formula 1 stock price has risen by 250%, and Liberty Media has already earned billions and billions of dollars from this deal. As the saying goes, content is king, and no one understands that better than Liberty Media and Formula 1. Their ability to think anew is what is making this brand different. It's not just cars on a track, it's a brand that needs to be sold. Another interesting fact that I want to tell you guys is 77% of the people who watch us do not end up subscribing. We put in a lot of effort in these videos. We have entire songs at the end of the videos. Please subscribe, it's absolutely free, and you can always unsubscribe later.